5 oddish poetry stories. One, there was this cat, white dude, kind of thin, easily late 20s, early 30s back in New York, who was named Morris Stegosaurus. I wouldn't tell you his real name, but clearly his real last name ain't Stegosaurus. But he always would come in pajamas and always had a stuffed animal. And that was his thing, and no one ever said anything about it. If you were just in one of these eclectic avant-garde white venues in New York, he would just show up, he'd have a stuffed animal, and then he'd go into his poem and everybody just was. And we're not even going to talk about sexual venues like Jessica had the Punani Poets out of Oakland for a long time, and Urban Erotica with Mo Beasley in New York, and Walter in Baltimore, and Ainsley with Sweet Spot. But there was a freak show, a poetry freak show called Tourettes Without Regrets in Oakland. Now that was different because it wasn't just sex. He had all kinds of things going on. He had dwarfs wrestling and mud wrestling and people juggling sticks of fire and people blowing fire into the crowd. Look up Tourettes Without Regrets. It's odd. Another case that comes to mind is a poet who would try to buy souls. So, and follow me, he had contracts printed up where other poets would sell him their souls, and he would offer them $5 to $20. He negotiated, but he'd start at $5, and if you sign this contract, he gets your soul, you get $5. And he'd be telling poets, well, you don't believe in this, right? It's just a joke, right? It's just a game. I don't know what he ever did with him, but every time I saw him after that, and it would be 10 years and 15 years after the fact, he told me he kept all those contracts. So odd. There was one brother who wanted to be really famous, so he was trying to build his value. And he did what a lot of other poets did, which was if you emailed him, he would say he was his agent. He wasn't him. But he would take it further. He was constantly telling people, oh, I can't get back to you, or Mr. So-and-so can't get back to you because he's on tour in the Mediterranean, or he can't get back to you because he's touring South America, so on and so forth. And he figured by doing that, he'd then pretend to be that agent again and get back with the club in a month or so and tell them, oh, he's back from wherever and he's willing to do your show. He'll do it for this amount of money. It'll be something crazy. And that was his hustle, trying to convince people that he was far more in demand and far more popular than he was, when the poets all knew that he was just at home and we could see him any day. Just saw him last night. But that's how he moved. I'm gonna give you a bonus that has nothing really to do with poetry, except that it was happening around that same time frame. I had a friend whose husband was a gospel singer, and he was supposed to pay child support. But what he would do was bring her a box of CDs every month for her to sell, and that would be her child support. He could not figure out what was wrong with that. And everyone else is looking at this cat like, come on, you going around to churches and all these places where people have kind hearts and you can't sell it. How's she supposed to sell it? She ain't even singing the songs, bruh. Another crazy example was how poets used to sell these CDRs, and you can always tell if they were burnt or not. A lot of the people who were buying them were smart. They were savvy. When they get your CD, they turn it over to make sure, see if it's burnt, see how long it is. Because if you turn it over and it's half dark, half light, that means it's a 40-minute CD. They know they got something. But a lot of poets would just be selling people blank CDs, the unknowing people. There was one poet in particular who was grimier than that. He would take people's CDs if they were just left unattended. He would, if you gave him CDs, a lot of the newbie poets wanted to impress the older poets, so they like, yo, check out my CD, and they give them away for free. But he wouldn't listen to the CD. Before he left the venue, he'd take the CD out and your little picture or your packaging, toss that in the garbage, and then he'd put his CD in that case, or he would put a blank CD in that case. It was just grimy like that. And if you came to him afterwards, if you ran into him a week later, or a month later, or whatever the case may be, and you asked him how he liked your CD, he wouldn't know who you were, don't know nothing about your CD, and his standard answer would be like, yo, track 6. Because he figured every CD had at least 6 tracks. So he would tell you like, yo, 6. Track 6 moved me. I like the whole thing, but 6, that one in particular. And that's just how grimy some people were moving back then. So I guess the moral of the story is that poets and like some gospel singers apparently too can be a little oddish.